Okay, well, we're going to go to Peter Whitney, Ray, and hopefully Jordan comes on because exactly what you're talking about, managing of a bench behaviorally precedes the X's and O's. We may be able to get back to that related to making everybody feel valued as a team member because the coach creates that culture. Peter Whitney, go ahead.
Yeah, Ray. Thanks for coming on. First of all, this is great. I think one of the things too that you're talking about, right, is the fact that probably when you deal with human emotions, right, that's probably one of the things that people are most uncomfortable with. And as a hockey coach, it's kind of the last thing because you get in a position where you feel like I'm the boss, I'm the leader, I can't show any emotion when really, I mean, for me, like I said, I've been doing it for 30 years and fortunately been able to be exposed to some really good people and learned a lot. But you got to be able to establish trust with your players. And when your players trust you, they'll do whatever you ask them to do. They may not be successful at it, but they'll at least give it a try, right? Same thing like when you're parenting, right? If your kids don't trust you as a parent and realize that you have their best interests at heart, you're not going to get very far. So, I mean, I love that idea. I mean, that's something I've always personally always tried to do is, and it's hard, but I will say that one of the things that there's nothing positive that came out of the pandemic, but a yellow legal pad that is filled with every session that I had with my guys and getting to know them and keeping them on board and creating that trust, I think was one of the reasons when we finally got back, we were able to go to the finals in our league after only the second year in the league. But I really think it was because we're able to establish that trust that you're talking about and connect with them on a personal level so they know that you actually are there for them.
Peter, I just wanted to, I see that Jordan's joined, and I don't know that he's heard the conversations, but um, trust and respect to me are in the mission statement exercise. Do they trust the coach? Do you trust your teammates? Do the parents trust their coach? Do they respect the coach? Does the organization respect the one below it or the one above it? No. There's a disconnect when we all want to do the same thing for the good of our kids. So, Jordan, we've talked about, and I brought up Kerry's name, and uh, Kerry manages the bench so everybody feels valued. He has a way of rotating the bench. And the thing um, that I'll share with you, Ray, is everybody gets to play and learns roles, but he manages the bench remarkably well. It's not shortening, it's maximizing the talents of everybody where they're able to contribute the most and feel valued. And he's won 4 national championships, I believe, at the midget AAA level. So it works. And Jordan has taken his idea of allowing the players who are the most important person as the employees are in a company and transmitted beliefs so that they exceed the expectations. They're allowed to pursue their aspiration. So, Jordan, I wonder if you could talk a bit about what you've learned from Kerry and Ray. This is the nuts and bolts, not X's and O's. What's your power play? What's your breakout? Forget about that. If you have trust and respect, Jordan's created a culture with his team. It's beyond anything I've ever seen. Kerry created that with his teams back in the day. He couldn't create it later when the generation of the parenting and coaching changed, society changed. So, Jordan, I'm going to let you talk a bit about it. And then, Ray, if anything comes to your mind, I know
Coach,
you'll filter everything. And like a good coach who's listening to what the players say, he'll be able to tie the bow that brings it all together. Go ahead, Jordan.
All right,
Introduce
thanks, Wally.
yourself to Ray if you wouldn't mind.
Okay, hi Ray. I'm Jordan Fenton. My day job is an elementary principal. So when I was off there a bit, I was teaching grade 6 volleyball for 30 minutes, and it isn't quite volleyball yet, but they're working on it. Um, what Wally was referring to is taking on the role of a U18 AA female coach, where we only have 19 rostered players, so 11 forwards. I was looking for a system that might work to build a little more chemistry than what many do, in that they either just roll one side of the wingers or the centers at certain periods and just turn their lines into meat grinders. And he said, he told me about Kerry, and that Kerry had a system that he used. And in Wally's words, he goes, it worked great for Kerry. He goes, but I don't understand it well enough. So you make sure you reach out to Kerry. And Kerry and I had a 3-hour conversation about it and many others. And I've been very fortunate to have had several other conversations with Kerry and pick his brain since then. It goes beyond building trust in your players or them understanding that you trust them. It actually builds trust amongst themselves, and that they feel value from you as a coach, but they also feel value from their peers in this system. And understanding, like I know with the kids, that they monitor who has been out when, and I don't even have to really, once I taught the ins and outs of it to them, they monitor whose turn it is to be out on the ice in some ways. And that but what it's allowed is for chemistry, and I know Peter was just talking about getting to know his players at a different level through COVID and that. And one of my long held beliefs in a school setting is it's all about connections. It's not about the content, it's about connections. Every child needs to feel connected to their school in a significant way. They also need to feel connected to at least one adult in a significant way, and they need to feel that it is a place where they're cared for. And I think that hockey teams are no different. That every child needs to feel when they come to the rink that there's a reason to be there, not just because their parents are dropping them off and paying the thousands of dollars for them to participate. And it's finding out that why they want to be there. And the other piece is they need to feel connected to their teammates, at least one in a meaningful way, and hopefully all of them in some way. And then they need to feel a connection with their coaching staff as well, where they feel that they can approach them and talk to them and that. And I know that that's changed significantly from the time when I was a player till now, because I can remember being on a bus trip to another town when I was playing junior, and one of my teammates forgot a shin pad back in the dressing room. And rather than ask the trainer to go ask the other team if they had an extra, he taped 2 shower shoes and rolled up a piece of carpet that someone had in a hockey bag, taped that on his leg like a shin pad, and he played the entire game that way because he was too afraid to tell the coach that he'd forgotten a shin pad. So I do want the kids to be responsible for their gear and that. When we were in Saskatoon, we had one player that when she was airing out her gear in the hotel room had forgot her shoulder pads, packing them back into the bag. But another player had an extra, and fortunately she could play for the first period while someone else went and retrieved her forgotten ones, so she had the right sized ones. But it's one of those things. She wasn't afraid to ask us or let us know that, but she also now is obviously never going to make that mistake again, hopefully. But it's that whole piece of connectedness and trust, and as Wally says, fostering belief in one another. The players have to believe that you have their best interest at heart, and you have to believe that they are going to do their absolute best every time that they touch the ice. So that's kind of where it goes, but I would go back to the philosophy that Kerry has with the 11-player forward rotation, that it allows to build chemistry amongst the kids. It allows to build trust amongst the players with one another, and it revolutionized the culture that we were trying to build. That allowed it to go the extreme, I think, and allowed them to build very special bonds. And I always tell the kids the difference between a regular team and a special team lies with all of us. It's up to us to make it a special year.
Jordan, the shin pad, that's a different level. Kerry, kids on a team, a AAA team, can't go and talk to the coach about what they're feeling and what they're thinking. The shin pad thing, it's important, but but I'm just saying right now, the players need to, and coaches need to listen to their players and ask them what they think, especially today's generation. The Socratic method of learning is critical.
So I just add one thing, Wally, and then I saw Kerry put his hand up. When you ask say coaches need to ask their players, one of the things, and I stole it from a master teacher in my school, was I asked the players how they want their feedback. Because we all receive feedback in different ways. Two things I asked them. One is how they learn best, how they feel that they learn best. And the second is how they want their feedback. Because those are very personal pieces for all of us. Some people do not want to be recognized in front of a group, good or bad. And so asking that, and the only caveat I say to them is, if you put on there that you want me to yell at you, I said, that you can put it down there. I said, but that won't be happening, because I'm not going to be doing that. But the feedback piece, it's important that they recognize. Some of them have never thought about it themselves as to how do I want to be recognized, or how do I want to receive feedback, and that piece. But most of them, because of the way the education system is now, most of them know how they learn best, because there's enough different strategies and different things going on in most classrooms that they've been able to experience that. So those are the two pieces that I've started off the season with as well, so that potentially I can help them out with that as we go.